Arash, how you been?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
Did you get any rest?
Yeah, I've been training every day since I've been back, but I've been sleeping.
Oh man, did you at least get a cheat meal after you got off that stage, man?
I did. I eat, Vlad, but I can't go too crazy. Like if I eat a lot, I'll gain a lot of weight.
I hear you, man. But do you get like cravings ever? Like, are you more like a savory guy, or you like dessert more?
I love desserts. I'm a fat kid at heart. So during my prep, what I do is, believe it or not, like the protein powder, the from Dymatize. I'm not trying to put them or anything, but I never had protein powder in my preps. I always do dairy free. But if it's a really clean powder, it doesn't bloat me. So like if I have a sweet tooth at night, I would just do protein powder instead of like egg whites. But that's it. There's no room for cheating. For me, it's easier to be all or nothing. You know.
Absolutely, I hear you, man. So let's talk about this classic physique division, man. It seems like this year specifically was everybody was excited about it, and especially after seeing the lineup and the level of competitors. I mean, Guy Cisterino, he was talking to us at the expo, and he was telling us he was mostly excited about seeing the battle at the classic, the classic stage.
Yeah, it's exciting. I mean, it's a division that the fans and the competitors are super stoked about and people love. I think men's open still has the same amount of love and excitement. I just think it's maybe not as exciting because there's no rivalry like Jay and Danny, for instance. So a lot of guys are a little bit more curious, like, hey, let's look over here, what's going to happen here, type of deal. The division is phenomenal. We've all improved immensely since last year, and there's just so much hunger and competition that regardless what you like or not, it's exciting to watch.
Now, going into this competition, I'll be honest with you, I don't go on record making predictions, but in my mind, I thought you were going to win. So how did you feel about the place in the event?
Look, I worked really hard this past 12 months, and I brought my physique up a lot. Like, if you really, really look at me from last year to this year, all the pictures, Instagram, the show, I progressed immensely. I brought my legs up. I did exactly what I said I was gonna do. I think I was head and shoulders better. But fact of the matter is, first place, second, and third place, they nailed their conditioning and their peak on Friday, and I didn't. I was off Friday morning. That's it. No excuses. I lost to myself. I think me at my best, I could have won that show. This year we weighed in Thursday, we competed Friday. And I don't do any crazy carb up protocol. I'm not 20 pounds heavier on stage. I don't need more time, but our schedule was very hectic on Thursday. I didn't have to. I wanted to do the press conference. So we were there 2 hours backstage, 2 hours on stage. I woke up right about at weight. I had to lose like a pound or two, which isn't much, but what that means is you can't eat or drink. So I didn't eat or drink anything, but I was walking around Vegas. I did the meet and greet with the fans. I really didn't rest on Thursday. Once I began to eat and carb up after weigh-in, which was 6 p.m., come Friday morning, I was shot. My body was exhausted. I wasn't getting a good pump backstage. I was a little bit lightheaded and dizzy, and I wasn't popping. And that's the feedback, exactly what I thought is the feedback I got from the judges. I was 35% better at the night show, but they didn't judge us. It was too late.
I hear you, man. How do you feel about the guys that placed above you? How do you feel about their physiques?
I'm very proud of them, man. I'm friends with all of them. George is here from Bevs. Chris and Breon, I've become friends with. They're great guys. They look great. They nailed their packages. They nailed their conditioning. I think me at my best, I think I can win. I think I'm unbeatable. I'm well-rounded. I don't have any major flaws. I'm good from the front, from the side, from the back. I was off. I was majorly off. Breon is consistent with his conditioning. Bumstead, I think, brought definitely his best package. And I think George was the best So I think they were all at their best, and I was at like 70, 75%. I mean, the prejudging pictures, you could see my front double. I wasn't popping. My arms weren't popping. My chest wasn't popping. I just looked sunken in. And when you don't eat or drink for a day, it takes a certain amount of time to come back to life. It was just, I was doing so much on Thursday. I didn't get a chance to lay down. Every bodybuilder knows when you're carving up after weigh-in, you want to lay down with your feet up, eat, and just relax and let the carbs go in. But listen, no excuse. Every athlete has the same schedule.
But interestingly, you defeated Danny Hester, who was the champion from last year, and you got second last year. So you did improve technically because you defeated the champion in a way.
Or we both came in off. I mean, there's a lot of ways of looking at it. And it was tough. It was devastating. It was kind of embarrassing. I'm not there to just be on the Olympia stage. I'm there to win, man. I want to make history. I want to make history. I want to be the best. And then when I reevaluated and I got my thoughts together, it was a great weekend all in all. And I was like, you know what? I got fourth, being really, really off. The Arash now, I've evolved and come a long way from last year. And then, look, it doesn't matter what you look like the day before and the day after. It's what you look like that day. That's the beauty of bodybuilding. It's an art, science. I know what I'm capable of. I know what I can bring, and we learn from our mistakes.
Now, I think after this year's Olympia, the classic division is going to actually continue to grow, maybe even more competitive. I mean, how do you feel about that?
Absolutely. This division is going to bring a lot of genetic freaks out of the woodwork. I'm a part of Classic Physique, right? So if I want to go forward in the sport, it's competition, man. There's a lot of young guys. I see them personally at the gym. There's a lot of crazy physiques coming up. I'm improving too. I'm getting better, and I'm not a pushover. I'm not worried about it. I'm happy about it.
After this year's Olympia, everybody keeps talking about the vacuum. I don't know if it's a mandatory post to do the vacuum, but how do you feel about the vacuum? I mean, do you feel like a bodybuilder in classic division especially should be able to do a vacuum?
I think everybody can train for it. Some guys, it's a little bit more structural of how freaky it can be. Like, I practiced the vacuum, and I was, last year in the top 5, top 10, I was the only one that pulled a semi-vacuum. I think to some degree, it has to do with your structure and your genetics. And sometimes I think it looks really nice, and sometimes I don't think it looks nice at all. Should it be mandatory? I mean, I don't. It's not technically it's a pose. It's just something you're doing with your abdomen. I think this whole classic physique thing, people are kind of taking it a little too far. Like Samir Bannout, Lila Brada, Arnold, these are big dudes. They were classic bodybuilders? Of course they were. If anything, Arnold kind of had a wide waist. If you look at his structure, he was super wide up top, but you look at his hip bones, you could see his hip bones. So I think people are taking, like, the younger guys are, saying this is classic, that's not classic. It's bodybuilding, man. Bodybuilding is about symmetry, size, conditioning, and proportion. And if we're going to use Frank Zane as the only benchmark, well then shit. I mean, Frank Zane was kind of small compared to a lot of bodybuilders today. I don't know where he would be in the lineup today. You know what I mean? So I think there's a big misunderstanding. This is bodybuilding. If you want enormous 260 to 300 pound bodybuilders, I'll tell you this: their fingers are going to be bigger. Their stomachs are going to be bigger. Everything's going to be bigger. They're going to hold more water. So if you guys want to keep pushing the envelope with size, their stomachs are going to get bigger too. And people bring up Ramy. Ramy's incredible. I'm a big, big fan. Ramy is 1 in a million. Juan Morel, 1 in a million. Those guys have crazy small waists. The vast majority of guys, if you push them to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, their stomachs are going to get bigger. So I don't think bodybuilders should be having guts, no. But I do think that we're rewarding enormous guys since Dorian till now. So it goes hand in hand, man.
Yeah, I feel like I actually agree with you 100%. If you want to be in an open division, right, and it just so happened that over the years, the size became a big factor, right? You will get enormous bodybuilders, but you have to deal with everything that comes with it. And if you're going to criticize them for doing that, you're kind of a hypocrite in a way. You know what I'm saying?
People are just they're very critical, and they're very harsh with their words sometimes. I think people should share their opinions with a touch of class, and if you don't have the heart or the balls to say something in public, in real life, in someone's face, don't say it or word it differently on social media. You know what I mean?
Do you ever get to see people being like overly rude on social media? Do you notice that?
I don't get a lot of negativity. I think maybe it's just the way that I carry myself. And if I do time to time, I don't pay it any mind, man. Because, Vlad, a person that's truly content and happy with themselves is not going to be rude to another person, to a stranger. The people that are really, really nasty are really unhappy. And at the end of the day, my man, you're on that guy's page, taking time out of your life, putting a comment, whether it be positive or negative. So what's that say about you? It's a projection of themselves. It's their own bullshit and insecurities. So I don't let it bother me, you know. It is what it is. And if you're gonna be trying to be a pro athlete or be in the limelight or be in the spotlight, it comes with the territory.
But you feel pretty comfortable sharing pictures, you know, posing pictures, kind of progress pictures, like leading up to the actual competition. There's a lot of bodybuilders that kind of hide, they kind of stay away from that, right? I mean, but you feel comfortable doing that.
I don't have any rule of thumb. I kind of do what I feel. So last year I posted like every other day. This year I stayed really, really covered up and hidden. I felt like I made a lot of improvements and I was going to bring something really special to the stage, and I just wanted to kind of do a reveal. So I stayed hidden, and then the last week or two I started posting some stuff. This is a new era, a new generation. You only saw Arnold, you only saw Frank Zane, you only saw Sergio, you only saw these guys in shape, on stage, or at a photo shoot. We're sharing our whole lives with you guys. You're seeing me 10 weeks out, 8 weeks out, 4 weeks out. You're seeing me pale. You're seeing me in good light, bad light. We're really revealing ourselves, and it's not easy. You know, it's not easy as an athlete to do that. You got to kind of just let it go and to a certain extent not give a shit. But, you know, the fans today are really lucky, man. I had to go searching in magazines. I couldn't DM Ronnie Coleman. Dude, this is an amazing, amazing time.
I know, that's one of the things I always wonder, man. How do you do that and still, you know, because like on one hand, bodybuilders are overall, they have a sensitive side, right? They bothered, but when people kind of overanalyze them. But on the other hand, that's all you do is that's your job, right? You go on the stage and you perform in front of the people, you know what I mean? And you fully let your body speak for itself in a way.
If this was 15 years ago, for sure it would bother me more. I've gone through a lot in my life. I've matured a lot. My age has a lot to do with it. So I'm here, you know, I'm not as sensitive. I don't let things bother me as much. And the thing that makes me laugh is when people on social media take your picture and someone else's and they compare them. You don't need to do that. That's what I do for a living. What I do is I compete, I qualify for shows, and then whoever wants to compare themselves to me, we stand on the same stage. You can't take two pictures together. If you take Phil Heath's picture and you take my picture and you're strategic with how you put the pictures, I might look bigger than him.
Now, are you already qualified for next year's Olympia, or you still have to qualify?
Top 5 is qualified.
Do you plan to do other competitions before the Olympia, or are you just going to focus on one show?
So last year I got second. I wanted to take some time off because I had some bruises last year. I had some like small injuries. This year I feel great. I'm physically fine. So I took off and I felt like I deserved it. I was second. Now I decided for myself, for some momentum, and for the fans, I want to compete. So I was going to do the Arnold. But I just got some bad news. Arnold Sports emailed me back this morning. They don't have Classic Physique. But I was really shocked because of how big Classic is. I know Arnold complained about the shaking and the guts, but he's talking about bodybuilding. He's not saying give us another division. So I understand that, but at the same time, it's the Arnold Classic. It's, you know, Arnold kind of, I don't know, I was just shocked. I just figured they would have it. So I don't know, man. I got to reevaluate, you know? And the timing is a big factor, too. You don't want to do shows too close together. So it would have given me 5-6 months from now, do the Arnold, and then 5 or 6 months, and then Olympia again. So it was kind of nice timing.
After this year, I mean, they should definitely add it, I think.
I know the Arnold is a huge show, a huge weekend. There's so much that goes into organizing it. That's the only reason I can think. Maybe it's just too much for them to handle right now. Other than that, man, this is an exciting division. And it's Arnold, it's classic, it's classic bodybuilding. We're going back to the golden era, you know? Like, it's so fitting. I trained the day after the Olympia, and I've trained every single day since with the Arnold in mind, you know? I'm not going crazy, not trying to do PRs. I can't not train, you know? This is what I do, this is what I love.
Absolutely, I hear you, man. You just shared a stage with the legendary Flex Wheeler. How did you feel, obviously, being on the same stage with him, and just in general about his comeback? How do you feel about it?
First of all, I don't know if you guys can see, but I just got goosebumps when you said Flex. I think Flex Wheeler is one of the greatest bodybuilders of all time. I've always thought that. I liked his physique. Personality-wise, you know, he was always like a little bit like, you know, a little cocky, a little arrogant, which is cool and whatever, no problems. I didn't really know him. We never really met before. That's just what I expected. Then I got to know Flex this weekend. I got to befriend him. I heard him speak at the Superstar seminar, and I already knew his story. I knew what he went through. I knew he almost died. I knew he lost his kidney, but I'm not an emotional guy. I haven't cried since I was a kid. I got choked up. It was an absolute honor to be on stage with him, and the things that came out of his mouth, the things that he was saying to me, it's an honor to be on compete with you, champ. I said, what? I said, hold on, Flex. I said, no. The honor is all mine, brother. You know, it was surreal. It still hasn't kicked in. Like, I was on the stage of Flex Wheeler. Like, are you kidding me? And honestly, man, like, I don't think anyone expected much from him. I really don't. You know, it's very, very hard to come back at a retirement. It's very hard to come back at 52. It's very hard to come back at a retirement at 52 when you had a serious physical ailment like that. When you have surgery and you have a piece of you taken out of you, you're never the same. So to do this prep, I can't imagine how hard it was for him. And you know what? I was surprised. We were backstage and all the classic guys left the line. We all left the line and came to watch a screening. And he was jacked. He was big. He was conditioned. His legs came up. And I'm super proud of what he accomplished. And it's so much more than just doing the bodybuilding show for him and for us. I realize it's not about coming up there and trying to compete and beat us or this and that. Like, that was a serious accomplishment, serious milestone in his life. And to be able to share that with him and be a part of that was crazy, man. It was extremely emotional, man. I mean, if you guys can watch the Superstar seminar video, you'll watch him speak and you'll watch me speak about him. It was amazing. It was like the icing on the cake for me for the whole weekend.